Welcome to Firearms of America. Today, as you guys can see, I have another pair of Salomon boots for review, and these are the very new Salomon Outsnap CSWP snow boots. And I'm very excited to do the review. So, if you guys don't have time to watch the whole review, let me tell you, excellent boot, very comfortable, unbelievably good outsole that provides great traction, great stability. The waterproofing is great too. CSWP is Salomon's own waterproofing technology, and it never let me down in my previous purchases from Salomon and CSWP. Currently $130 on Amazon. The link is in the description below if you want to check it out. Check it out. But if you do have time to watch the whole review, let's get into it. So, as some of you already know, this review is specifically for my ultimate survival boots section. Basically, if these were your very last boots that you put on, or you have been wearing them, and something bad happened, war, catastrophe, natural disaster, whatever you can think of, 2020 should have been quite fruitful with the ideas about survival situations, right? And you've been wearing this boot. Would this be good boots to survive in? You know, walk, run, fight, climb, do whatever is necessary to survive. How do we make the judgment? We make the judgment based on 8 different criteria. So let's get into it. Criteria number 1, of course, is one of the most important: comfort level. And like I said in the beginning, these boots are very comfortable. Now, how I test all of my boots on this channel: I do a 3-mile run, 5-mile walk. Total wear time is about 7 to 8 hours. And like I said, I do like these boots, the comfort level of these boots, a lot. A few factors that contribute to the comfort level. First of all, let's get the important one out of the way. Of course, is the weight. And as you guys can see, these boots are only 3.4 ounce, which honestly is unbelievably good for really any kind of boot without the waterproofing, without being insulated for winter, being the winter boot. But considering that this boot is waterproof and insulated, I think this is just a fantastic weight. Now, I always say, whenever I do my boot reviews, I always say, if you want something that is lightweight enough to not restrict your movement so that you can run without any problems, without getting too tired from the weight on your feet, walking for extended periods of time, you want something under 20 ounce. And these are very well under 20 ounce. 13.4 is really good. A few other factors that contribute to the comfort level, of course: flexibility of the bottom sole. And as you can see, the bottom sole is very flexible. So whenever you're running, you can definitely run properly in this boot. If you do have to run in your boot, you can definitely run properly without putting too much stress on your ankles, on your knees. Of course, we also do have our inner sole that contributes to the comfort level. And as you guys can see, this is the winter sock liner inner sole from Salomon. It does have decent shape to it, nothing too crazy. This heel pad definitely helps to keep your foot in place, especially whenever you're running. Feels very good to the touch. Not a lot of jelliness, more of a firm feeling, but it does help with the impact. Of course, on the inside of the boot, as you can see, it has this very nice insulated sock liner, which just feels, it's like a fleece. It feels very nice and comfortable. Whenever you put your hand inside of the toe box, there really isn't much. I kind of wish that there was more cushioning that was implemented on the inside of the toe box just to give you extra comfort. But because this material is very soft, you still feel pretty comfortable. Does not really take away from it. Okay, so done with the comfort. Overall, I do like this boot a lot whenever it comes to the comfort. Let's move on to the criteria number 2, which is proofing and protection. Now, as I've mentioned in the beginning, these boots are waterproof, and you probably already noticed the gusseted tongue, which I think the gusseting here is excellent, very smart. As you can see, it does use the whole length of the shaft for the waterproofing, and it gives you a very decent, very decent 5 inches of waterproofing, which I think for a mid-size boot, I think that's an excellent height for the waterproofing. Now the CSWP, which stands for ClimaSense Waterproofing, that's Salomon's own technology, and compared to a much more expensive Gore-Tex, for example, one of the more expensive ones, I personally have not seen any difference. So whenever it comes to buying Salomon boots, my personal recommendation to you, if you want to save some money and if you are not really that much concerned that it is GTX, check out stuff with CSWP on it instead of GTX. Usually it's much more cheaper than the Gore-Tex stuff. Never let me down. Now let's talk about the protection. Now there isn't really much here on the toe. It does look like this design kind of throws you off to think you do have a little bit of a harder layer here to give you some protection, but really isn't much. So there's really nothing here. You don't want to drop anything heavy on your toe for sure. Now, because there is decent amount of cushioning here on the ankles, you do have some sufficient protection here. And of course your heel is, as usually most of the times you'll find in most of the boots, is reinforced. So whenever it comes to the proofing of protection, I think that's a pretty good balance. I kind of wish that Salomon implemented a little bit more covering here with this harder rubber on the front, just to give you that toe protection, which is very helpful on the hikes. But other than that, I think pretty good balance. Let's move on to the criteria number 3, which is quality and the design features. Now, because these boots are practically brand new from Salomon, they haven't been out for a while, you're not gonna find a lot of reviews on them. And if you check out the link, the Amazon link in the description below, there's only about 20 ratings right now, almost 5 stars. But keep in mind, obviously, because they're now out on the market, those ratings gonna grow. So if you're watching this video, you know, a few months from the upload date, check out the link in the description below and see what people say about this boots. Overall, whenever it comes to the brand Salomon though, they are one of the best hiking boot brands that I have reviewed so far through this channel. And obviously I did have a few more or less serious hikes with these boots, with Salomon boots, and they never let me down. So I do have a lot of trust in the brand. Now let's talk a little bit about the design features. Here I talk about the lacing system, and as you can see here, the lace actually is a flat string, which I don't mind at all. It does slide through fairly easy through this fabric hooks, closed hooks, and then we do have a pair of open hooks here on the top, which are made out of metal. I kind of wish that they were locking hooks, just to give you kind of two different sections for tightening your lace. Not a huge deal, just would be a plus, especially considering that Salomon, they do implement those occasionally here and there in some of their boots. Alright, so let's move on to the criteria number 4, outsole traction and stability. Now, as I have said in the beginning of this review, this is where these boots really do shine. This outsole right here is absolutely amazing. This is Contagrip from Salomon, and one of the best outsoles out there that you can find. It provides perfect balance between the aggression and flatness, and you can really tell if you test these boots out on really anything, whether it is sand, dry sand, wet sand, grass, dry grass, wet grass, trail surface, rocky road, flat surfaces like marble or tile. This outsole performs very well on all of those, just thanks to that very good balance of aggression and flatness. The only thing I kind of wish that Salomon implemented here would be the ridges on the sides here and here, just to give you a little bit of extra grip for whenever you're climbing a tree or a rope or something like that. But overall, this is the outsole. This really is the outsole that you're looking for you know, your ultimate, whether it is ultimate survival boot or your ultimate hiking boot. Okay, let's talk about criteria number 5, temperature. Now, because these boots are pretty new, Salomon is kind of iffy whenever it comes to the temperature rating of how much they can handle. There isn't really much of the insulation, just the fleece to give you that warm feeling. Although these boots are advertised as winter boots, I think they might be rebranded further in the future to being just more of a kind of more of a fall boot, just because there really is not any kind of dedicated insulation to whenever it comes colder temperatures, right? Now, this outsole, of course, will handle the snow very well. Obviously, whenever it comes to icy surfaces, you do want something additional, additional spikes on the boot, just like with really any other kind of boot. There isn't really a boot out there that out of the box, unless it comes already with metal spikes on it, that can handle the icy surfaces. But on the snow, this would be pretty good. You do have some decent natural insulation that you get with the fleece, and of course, because it is waterproof and you have 5 inches of waterproofing, it might be pretty good as a winter option, especially if you wear some insulated socks with these boots. Now, if you do have experience with these boots in colder temperatures in the winter time, let us know in the comments below, how they're handling and how cold it was and how cold they were able to handle. That would be great. But on a typical warm day, 60, 70 degrees, 80 degrees, they are definitely breathable enough to not overheat. So pretty good, unless of course you're wearing insulated socks, then it's going to be pretty hot. But with regular socks, pretty good. Let's move on to the criteria number 6. Very briefly, the sizing. They are definitely true to the size. I always get my boots in size 10, even though I wear shoes in size 9.5, just to give myself a little bit of extra space here in the toe box. Kind of helps whenever you're going down the hill, prevents you from unnecessary fatigue. Just a good recommendation that I got from one of my more experienced hiking friends. Let's move on to the criteria number 7, which is the balance of application. Basically, so this, after all of this, right, if this really was your ultimate survival boot, would this be a good option to survive it as a survival boot? I think it is a pretty good option. It is very comfortable. The outsole provides excellent traction and stability. Overall, while there might not be a lot of protection here in the toe box, it does offer sufficient amount of protection for a boot. And of course, features like waterproofing and, the lacing system isn't bad. I think it is pretty good, especially if you are planning your survival in some colder temperatures, right? Not too cold, because there isn't really the insulation here to handle, negative temperatures, for example, but more or less cold. I think it's pretty good. And especially if you are the type of person like myself that prefers more of lightness compared to, all the protection that brings weight, right? Like, for example, steel toe, right? Steel toe, thicker outsole, and stuff like that. Okay, so let's move on to the very last criterion, which is criteria number 8, the price. Currently, like I said in the beginning, these boots are $130 on Amazon. The link is in the description below if you want to check them out. I think the price is definitely fair, considering that all the features that these boots do offer, especially my favorite part, the outsole, which I really do like a lot, and of course getting a waterproof boot. However, I have to say there are a few other options in that price range. I reviewed them on this channel, so if you are planning to buy these boots, check out the other options. See, maybe you like something else a little better. So let me know, guys, in the comments below what you think about this review. If you have any other requests, drop them in the comments below and I can add it to my to-do list to do it as a priority if I come around those boots. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. This was Firearms of America, and I'll see you guys in the next video.